So, welcome back to another Funconventional, and this time we're going to be looking at Gigantamax Kingler, a Pokemon that I've been looking forward to using for quite a while. So, I really like Kingler. I managed to top the ladder with a Kingler back in, I think it was Moon series that I was using the Kingler back then. Very strange Pokemon to be using in Moon, but managed to top the Showdown ladder with it, and yeah, I really like Kingler, and its Gmax form is going to make it even better, especially with that Foam Burst. Getting a String Shot is very, very nice. String Shot itself is kind of an underused move. I'm not sure why people aren't using it a bit more, or at least even through the years why people haven't been using String Shot too much. Saw, what, Vikavolt use it in 2017? Vikavolt can still use it in 2020. People should be using that. But yeah, Gmax Foam Burst, absolutely fantastic move. And Kingler having such a high attack stat that can't be intimidated as well, thanks to its Hyper Cutter, just makes it even more threatening. So this is probably one of the best counters, if not the best counter to Incineroar, which I thought would pick up a lot more than it did, but then people actually realized it's not very good. So, but it's still pretty much a perfect counter with that Hyper Cutter as well, and it's got some very, very nice coverage as well. But it's got very, very poor defense. Well, its defense is fine, but it's pretty much equivalent bulk to Durant, and people know how not bulky Durant is, so that is very much made up for with the Assault Vest on Kingler. I feel confident saying that Assault Vest is the best item on Kingler. Because of the speed drops, you don't need to invest anything in speed. Because Foam Burst won't lower the... in general, because they'll run Clear Body most of the time, Foam Burst won't lower the speed of a Dragapult, so you don't need to outspeed that at -2. Or, yeah, if they were -2, because they wouldn't get slower than your Kingler because of the Clear Body. So the next thing, really, that you'd want to outspeed is Inteleon, and you don't need any speed to outspeed that with a Foam Burst. So because of the Foam Burst, you're able to put so much into bulk. And, yeah, I put a lot of special defense into this Kingler because its defense is pretty good, so you don't really need too much into its HP. Investing in its special defense is way more beneficial. As you can see, you can take 2 Max Lightnings from Marco's Duraludon, the Duraludon that won the Oceania International with, I think it's 156 modest special attack. So that means you survive 2 Max Lightnings. You technically don't because it will set the electric terrain, but that also means that you'll survive a Max Lightning just as a regular Kingler. And that's the same as the 2 Max Whirlwinds from Dragapult. You'll live a Max Whirlwind even if you don't Gigantamax, which is quite nice. So with the Assault Vest, Kingler actually gets entirely reasonable bulk, and it can still increase its bulk as well if you have something like High Horsepower on your Kingler, being able to go for Max Quakes, raising its special defense even further, and then it'll become actually surprisingly tanky. And yeah, it gets fantastic coverage. I think the 4 that I've got there, Liquidation, Superpower, High Horsepower, and Knockoff, would be in general the moveset that I would choose, but it's got some very nice coverage in the form of like Rock Slide as well, X-Scissor and Metal Claw, all are viable coverage moves as well, with Rock Slide being able to deal with Charizard in the sun. That would be a big thing because Foam Burst in the sun probably won't KO a Charizard. It would reduce its speed so you could KO it next turn, but Rock Slide gives an immediate KO on Charizard. X-Scissor would be able to reduce the special attack of the opponent, so it would kind of work the same way as High Horsepower, where you would be decreasing their special attack instead of increasing your special defense, but it would work the same way, and it would be able to hit some grass types as well, which you wouldn't really be able to otherwise. So if you really need to hit some grass types, maybe Rillaboom will pick up in the future and you need to hit that Rillaboom with a Flutterby. The Metal Claw, it's not going to be that strong, but it's just in case you want to increase the defenses of your team. Like if you wanted to have High Horsepower and Metal Claw on your Kingler so that you could do all the control with the Foam Burst and then you're raising your defenses, and with Superpower as well, potentially increasing your attack even further. That can also be done with Brick Break and Hammer Arm. Hammer Arm would be if you have a Trick Room mode on your team, so you have like the Foam Burst mode where you reduce their speeds like that and then just attack them. Or if you're going for Trick Room, you can Hammer Arm turn 1 with your Kingler. If they're expecting Foam Burst and they're trying to like speed control away from it, you can go Hammer Arm and Trick Room, and then you're going to underspeed everything. But you still just need to be wary when you're Foam Bursting in Trick Room, because then that's going to make them more effective in Trick Room. But it also has Knockoff, which decreases their special defense as well with the Max Darkness, which is very nice, but knockoff as a move in general is not very widespread, and on a Pokemon with this high attack, I don't think really you should pass up on knockoff itself, not even for the Max Darknesses, like for knockoff itself. Knockoff is a fantastic move, especially because we don't have things like Z Crystals and Mega Stones, and like everything can be knocked off. I think it's just Silvally that can't be, but you know, that's an exception. But pretty much everything can be knocked off, so knockoff is a fantastic move here. So yeah, this in general, I would say, would be the best Kingler. Assault Vest in general. You could run something like Guillotine if you really want to, because you can afford to on an Assault Vest set. If you like running the Yoko moves, like we've seen Horn Drill on Assault Vest, Excadrills. You run Sheer Cold on Assault Vest Lapras as well. What power does Sheer Cold? I assume Sheer Cold would turn into 130 base move. If you run Assault Vest Lapras and you run Sheer Cold, get a more powerful Resonance. Anyway, it's a tangent, but yeah, I'm pretty sure that Assault Vest Kingler is going to be the best Kingler, and some people have said in the comments that they want me to recommend some partners for Kingler. I'm going to try and stay away from the very obvious ones, like I could say, Togekiss would be a fantastic partner for this Kingler, because redirection and then you guarantee your Foam Burst, but I'll try and stick to some more niche ones, unless there's like an obviously high meta partner for the Pokemon, but here I've got... I said about the Togekiss redirection. Clefairy and Butterfree are also entirely reasonable redirection as well. Clefairy, increasing the defenses even further of the Kingler with the Assault Vest, it will become super tanky as well, and you'll be able to still go for those Helping Hand max moves that would be doing a lot of damage. So if you led with something like Clefairy Kingler, you're pretty much guaranteeing the speed control with the Foam Burst, which could be very nice. And then Butterfree could be paired with the Kingler so that you can pretty much force your opponent into a bad thing in either Sleep or -2 speed. So you can go for Foam Burst and Sleep Powder immediately. If they have the power to stop the Butterfree, they're now -2 speed and you can bring something in freely to be able to make use of the minus speed. If they can deal with the Kingler, they're now asleep. So pretty much forcing a bad thing there. So I think that those two could be pretty good partners for Kingler as well. And then some other more offensive Pokemon. I think Toxtricity is going to be a pretty good partner for Kingler as well. Because you don't have to Dynamax either of them to be useful. Like, you could go for Toxtricity and essentially paralyze Pokemon, which also does the same thing as Foam Burst if you get Paralysis. If you get the Poison, that doesn't really work. But if you get the Paralysis, then that works out really well, and then Kingler can come in and do some strong damage with its Liquidations. Or Kingler's doing the Foam Bursting and then putting them slower so that Toxtricity can just launch its Overdrives and do a lot of damage that way. So both have the potential to do a lot of damage even without their Gigantamax forms, and their Gigantamax forms both complement each other very well as well. And Kingler's going to be dealing with the ground types that's going to threaten the Toxtricity. So I think that Toxtricity and Kingler actually have some very good synergy here, and could be very good partners as well. We've seen Vanillux and Inteleon as a pairing as well, that seemed to be quite common. That was pretty much just Blizzard spam with the potential Aurora Veil, but I think the Aurora Veil would still work very well with Assault Vest Kingler, again, making it super tanky with that Aurora Veil, and Blizzard complementing the water typing very well for the Kingler, so you can deal with things like the dragons and the grass types that would resist otherwise. And it may seem a bit strange to recommend another water type with Kingler. In general, you want to try and avoid crossing over types if you can. You don't really get that with things like Rain Teams and Sun Teams, etc. But yeah, the Foam Burst -2 speed drops is very, very nice for Dracovish, because obviously Dracovish wants to be moving first. Foam Burst will help you move first. So you could go with something like Butterfree and Kingler, go for Sleep Powder and Foam Burst. If they knock out the Butterfree turn 1, they're slower. You bring in Dracovish, something is KO'd. Probably 2 things are KO'd, because Kingler's very strong. But yeah, it may seem a bit odd, but they do have very good synergy together. If you're a bit braver, you could run Dracozolt. Dracozolt kind of works the same way as the Toxtricity with the Kingler. Dracozolt is a bit more risky non-Dynamax though, because Hustle is going to make it miss some of the times, which could be a bit awkward. But if you are running high risk and you go for Foam Burst and bring in the Dracozolt, Bolt Beak is still going to do a lot of damage. So if you want to be risky like that, then go ahead. But I'm going to try and avoid just saying one set for a Pokemon. Like, I'm very confident that this is the best Kingler set, but for Funconventional, I'm going to try and do at least 2 if I can come up with something. Because in general, you're not going to have just one good moveset for a Pokemon. There are other viable things, and I've got this one here. Much more supportive Kingler that won't be Gigantamaxing as much, but still has the potential to. So instead of Liquidation, going for Crabhammer instead, because on the Assault Vest one, Foam Burst has the same power coming off Crabhammer and Liquidation is more reliable outside of the Gigantamax form because it's got 100% accuracy. You don't get the Sheer Force boost because you should be Hyper Cutter. Don't be Sheer Force for Liquidation damage because you want to be Hyper Cutter so you can't be intimidated. And yeah, Crabhammer, a little bit stronger outside of its Gmax forms because this, like I said, this Kingler isn't intending to Gigantamax all the time. Crabhammer with the Razor Claw, as we've seen with Togekiss, is going to be decritting quite a lot because Crabhammer has that increased crit ratio, kind of the same thing as Super Lux. So you're going to be getting 50% crits with the Crabhammer, which is going to be very nice. And because of that, you don't need as much attack investment. The previous Kingler the Assault Vest one was able to OHKO an Incineroar that survives a -1 Life Orb Max Quake from Excadrill. This does the same thing if you crit with a Crabhammer. So that's as strong as the Foam Burst from the previous one, 50% of the time, and you don't even need to Gigantamax with this one. So that makes this a lot more viable to not have to go for its Gigantamax forms a lot more. And then you've got some very, very supportive moves with the Icy Wind, Ally Switch, and White Guard. One of the few Pokemon that gets access to Redirection in Ally Switch and White Guard. Like, Follow Me and White Guard is the god combination in support, and almost nothing gets that. Like, you've got, Smeargle and Parasect, I'm pretty sure the only ones that get that combination. You've got a few Ally Switch and White Guarders, like Mr. Mime gets Ally Switch and White Guards. Can't think of any more off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure there is at least one more. Maybe I'm just thinking of Kingler as that one more. But yeah, Ally Switch and White Guard, fantastic combination. Very good support. Icy Wind is there so that you don't need to Dynamax to get that speed control. It's not as good as a -2, but -1 is still perfectly viable. And yeah, Ally Switch and White Guard, very, very nice support for the team in general. It's not going to have as much bulk without the Assault Vest. Like, I put almost all bulk into its special defense, and it's going to be reasonably tanky, but going to be noticeably not so on the special side without the Assault Vest. But it's still going to be able to take some hits because you don't need that much speed for this Kingler. I don't think, and because the Crabhammer was so strong with the crit, you didn't need any attack investment other than just Adamant, so you can afford to run all that bulk as well. And there's some other quite fun things that the Kingler can run as well, like Knockoff and Superpower are still very good coverage moves. If you don't need something like the Icy Winds, then like I was saying before, Knockoff is a fantastic move, just in general. So if you put Superpower over the Icy Wind, then that was the Kingler that I topped the ladder with back in Moon Series. It was Crabhammer, Superpower, Ally Switch, White Guard, with a Razor Claw. Or was it with a Life Orb? I had Life Orb and Razor Claw at one point. But then, yeah, that was back in Moon. This is not Moon anymore. Yeah, Swords Dance could make this Kingler a very big threat with the crit Crabhammers. So if you've seen Nasty Plot Togekiss and then being crit by it, you've seen how strong that can be. That could be this Kingler. Probably there won't be time to set up a Swords Dance though, so I don't know how viable that is. And then the other two moves are a little bit more fun. They're just to self-activate weakness policies. So if you're like Ancient Powering your own Togekiss that has weakness policy, or if you're Water Gunning your own Excadrill to activate weakness policy. Like things like that. Like those are some very much more niche moves, but they still have viability, which is quite amusing. And some partners for this Kingler. I wanted to try and avoid the obvious one, but Excadrill is going to be a very good partner for this because it does benefit. I tried to think of Pokemon that would benefit a lot from the White Guard. So Excadrill not being able to be hit by Earthquakes is very nice. Charizard's not being able to be hit by Rock Slides, and the same thing with Toxtricity, not being able to be hit by the Earthquakes as well. And the support from the Kingler is going to be really helping the Toxtricity as well. Like, I do think that Toxtricity and Kingler do have very good synergy together. So this one would probably be more leaning towards the Toxtricity going for Gigantamax a lot more, but still entirely viable to Gigantamax the Kingler instead and still go for those overdrives. So yeah, that's going to be that's going to be Kingler. I'm very much looking forward to using it, a Pokemon I wanted to build a team around for quite a while. So again, please put into the comments of this video the Pokemon that you would like to see next on the Funconventional. I think I'm going to put, because I want to do some kind of poll to do the next one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take suggestions from the previous Funconventional, the three of the Pokemon from the previous Funconventional. I'm going to comment in the comments of the video just with the names of the Pokemon, and then like the Pokemon that you want to see on the next Funconventional. So put in the comments the Pokemon you want to see. The comments that you'll put into this video, you'll maybe see them in 2 weeks, because then I'll take the most liked out of the 3 of my comments to use in the next Funconventional, and then I will use this video to make the poll for the next videos. So hopefully that makes sense. So like the just one of, like, you don't like all 3. You don't need to do that. Like the one that you want to see next for the Funconventional. I'll be picking that in the next Funconventional, and please comment the Pokemon that you want to see next on Funconventional as well. Thanks for watching.